Happy New Year! How you doing? Oh, yes. Yes, yes. Welcome, my lovely ladies and my handsome gents, to a new year, 2025, in the world of Talk to the Hand reviews and bold reviews, lady. Hey, you know, I so appreciate all of you who've been watching me for a while, whether or not you're subscribed. I can't believe I have the amount of subs that I have. I'm delighted that so many people have signed up to listen to me yap. And thank you so much. And I am extra excited about today's video. I know I always say that, and I always am really being honest, but today I am so very thrilled because these fragrances, okay, to preface this quickly, because this is probably going to be a long video either way. Well, I recently sort of had this little revelation when I was in a Sephora store, and I sort of realized that I was kind of bored of that stuff. And not only was I bored of that stuff, even though I love it all, and no, I don't own it all. And one of the reasons that I don't own it all is it's all so expensive. And when I used to work behind the counter in the late 80s and 90s, I worked in some high-end places, and nothing ever cost the kind of money it costs now. I realize things change, materials cost money, but I don't know, I'm getting to the point where I feel like I don't, you know, a lot of these fragrances we love so much are owned by the same conglomerates. I mean, a lot are owned by LVMH, which, as I've mentioned before, owned by the fourth richest man in the world, Bernard Arnault. And I have nothing against him. I'm sure he's a very nice man. He's a philanthropist and all of that stuff. But I don't know what it is. There's something that irks me. Because back in the day, I worked as a promotional rep for Guerlain and Oscar de la Renta. And I used to go from store to store. And I remember people just weren't ready to pay the kinds of prices that people do now. People are ready to pay those prices now. So I feel a little bit gouged. It doesn't mean I don't love that stuff. It just, for me, it's not honest to say I'm going to spend $400 on every bottle of perfume that I buy. Yes, some. And if you do that, that's your thing. I bless you, and that is what you should do, because that's what you like. I love it for you. But for me, it really isn't honestly me. And it got me thinking, well, you know, what kinds of fragrances are out there that are not from big conglomerate houses, that are from more niche houses? And I started looking around, but that are also more on the affordable side, or that can be had and found pretty much on the more affordable side. Now, all of these here today meet that criteria, except one of them is a conglomerate owned. And I was like, oh, I thought that I navigated my way through it, but only after I purchased it, then I went looking for deeper information and said, no, it is owned. That's okay. I'll tell you all of that stuff. But mostly and there's one that is a bit more on the expensive side. But for the most part, all of these were, I think, what most people would consider reasonably priced for today's day and age. And they're from amazing houses for the most part. I mean, and they're from, I think, cool, unique houses that have interesting stories behind them. I mean, pretty much. I was impressed, and so I was so excited to try all of these fragrances. I was just so thrilled because it's the first time I've ever done a blind buy Christmas. I thought, because for me, okay, when I realized this was a fragrance channel, I also simultaneously realized that I had a hunger to buy or experience my old favorites that I used to sell and I used to wear back in the late 80s and the 90s when I worked both in the cosmetics and fragrance industries off and on. And I realized that I wanted them all again, and I found some of them that used to be really expensive that I used to sell behind the counter are now much more affordable. And I was like, yes, yes, that, I can do that, you know, because I don't want to be irresponsible with my my financing. I can't do that. Like the way that I work at home with my husband, and we are project workers. Sometimes we have projects that we do pretty well on. And so and the rest of the year we do still, you know, make money, but it's not on the projects that are like the big projects that we sometimes do. And so we always want to be available for those big projects too. So anyways, I know this is long, but I think this requires a little bit of a story as to why this is appealing to me. Is I love the idea of spending money on the fragrances that I really, really want. But I don't feel good about going into Sephora and buying things that cost $400 a bottle on a very regular basis. And you know, that would shrink my collection quite a bit. And everyone knows those fragrances. I thought, well, I want to delve into the library of the world's unusual fragrances. And so that is what this collection, I think it looks so pretty in that tray. I did a little bit of research. I'm so looking forward to doing these, you know, individual reviews, because a lot of these are underrepresented on the internet, and I want to give them that little, shine that little light on them, that they might meet the people who would enjoy having them in a favorable way. Because oh my gosh, this is going to be a long video. I'm so excited because these things, they're all absolute bombshells of fragrances as far as I'm concerned. Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no lovin' since January, February, June or July. No time, ain't no time to stay at George and Spoon. So shine on harvest moon, for me and my die. Okay, now the show begins. This is like magic show music, don't you think? Yes. And I'm going to wheel the perfumes out in front of you on a stage, like David Copperfield. Okay, but another cool thing about this collection here is that I got my first 3 Middle Eastern fragrances. And I am so excited because like I really have I'm impressed. And I also, except for one, I tried to get some that I hadn't really heard much about at all. There was one that I was influenced by a few of our lovely people here on YouTube, fragrance YouTubers, about this one fragrance I got. But for the most part, I think these are not very widely known. Okay, so I know I'm taking a long time to get started. Okay, here we go. Princesse Marina de Bourbon. Look at this bottle. Now this top, it is plastic, but it looks so gorgeous. Look at this Art Deco, this beautiful Art Deco look, and this frosted glass. I was really impressed. This came, I just bought this one in the tester, so I saved a significant amount on it. So it's a little bit sharp, so you do want to be careful, but then you got the spray here. It is a little bit awkward, but I mean, I really don't care. Like, I'm not really here to use this fragrance every day. Okay, but now I gotta tell you the way I feel about this fragrance. It is so incredibly unique. It's got this fresh peachiness to it. And I don't remember what's in any of these. I did a little bit of preliminary research, but I didn't really go back and do in-depth research. But this is so fresh and beautiful, yet it's got, I don't know what it is, because I almost feel like this doesn't make sense to say it, but this has a little bit of a gothic element to it, I think. I think it reminds me of someone in a high neck dress, and like, you know, like at the time, this reminds me of what Mary Shelley might have been wearing when she wrote Frankenstein. It is just so beautiful. It's so beautiful, almost Victorian. It's very fruity, and it's just so, something about it is so unique and mysterious. It absolutely would be a very cool signature scent for someone. And and you know what? I haven't even told you about Marina de Bourbon fragrances. I was so excited to find out about this. Princess Marina de Bourbon is actually owned, and the company was started by an actual princess. It's an independently owned company. Princess Marina de Bourbon, she married Prince Andre de Bourbon Parma, and she was introduced into French elegance. She was inspired by Paris, and she started her fragrance brand in 1993. And they are independently owned, and she's still involved with it. And they have a number of fragrances. Actually, this wasn't the first one on my list. I wanted, I think it's called Cristal de Bourbon, or it's in a round, really pretty. I was like, ooh, pretty thing, you know, pretty bauble, you know. But I ended up just changing because this is their first fragrance also. And I just love it. It is so interesting and unique and beautiful and creepy. But I don't really think it's a creepy fragrance. I just, for some reason, it's a beautiful fragrance. And you know what? This is funny. Because all this was Christmas stuff. I pre-ordered for myself, and then I opened it on Christmas Day. And so my husband was there with me, and we were experiencing it together. And with this one, I put it on my arm, and I gave, okay, here you go, try it, smell it. And he smelled it, and he smelled it for a few seconds, and I tried to pull my arm away, and he pulled my arm back, and he kept smelling. And then finally, he rubbed his cheek against his hand, so, which was a really cute reply, because he likes fragrances, but he's really not a fragrance guy, you know. So it was a really nice response to this fragrance that I think the fragrance was worthy of, if I may be honest. Okay, so I got to move on because I know it's already long, but I wanted to say my whole piece with all of this stuff because I'm really thrilled about it. Okay, moving on. Histoire d'amour from Abusson. House of Abusson. I hope I'm saying it right. Look at this pretty bottle. I just think all of it. I love this filigree glass work. I love beautiful glass. I have a few pieces of antique glass that I love it when they do that stuff. But look at the cute little cap. Now, some people complained when I read about it that they thought the cap was cheap. I mean, I guess I could see that, but I don't care. I think it's really beautiful. And this was the signature fragrance from House of Abusson. It is an independently owned company. And I was really excited to get this one. And I love getting a nice big size. So this one is really interesting because, yeah, nothing in this collection smells like anything else in the collection that I bought, because I blind bought all of it. You know, I decided after having all these great fragrances after buying some of these great fragrances I used to sell, that I've expanded my horizons to being more curious about what I haven't smelled. And I don't even mind if I don't like it all that much. I really wanted to smell it, and just smelling it, that's so fulfilling, you know? Oh yeah. So this one is really interesting. I would expect with a name like Histoire d'amour that it would be very, you know, a very sweet, light floral, but it's not that at all. It's a much more dry. It's very dry. There's no sweetness to it at all. It reminds me a lot of, you know what? It's in the realm of Chanel number 19. It's that dry green floral, but it's almost like an antique sachet of real flowers. You know how it is different of sachet with real flowers than a sachet that's had artificial fragrance added to it. It's a whole different thing. One is much more dried material smelling. This is a lot like that. And it also reminds me of another fragrance I own called Anne Klein Blazer. And like a very green leaning, but like dried grass, not fresh green grass, like dried grass, but beautiful. And you know what? Because it doesn't have any sweet flowers, I'd say maybe it could be a shared fragrance, you know, or a gender neutral fragrance. But I still think it's feminine. It's very feminine. So, and it's unique, and it's you know, if you liked, if you remember, well, they still sell it. If you ever liked Halston, this is it's in that realm. Halston, I think Halston was a bit sweet. I wore a lot of it, but it's hard for me to remember exactly what it smelled like. But I think this is in the realm of people who like that kind of thing. Chanel number 19 is the one that you'll probably be most familiar with, that you can go, oh yeah, right, I get it. It's dry, that. Histoire d'Amour. Now, House of Abusson was started in 1988 by Dale Abusson. And Histoire was the first fragrance, and they also have a lot of other fragrances to check out. And they are also independently owned. So another one I'm excited and proud to have in my collection. Histoire d'Amour by House of Abusson. Now, this is one of the first ones that got me interested about, you know, houses that I'd never heard of. Houses that I've never heard of, but will offer me something in the affordable range so that I can check out their line, you know. And I was thrilled to discover this company called Leonard, with their a design house, an independent design house. Leonard, where is it? They are a cool clothing design house, started in 1958. They've been family owned since 1958, but in July of 2022, they were acquired by Seiko, but originally started by Jacques Leonard and Daniel Trubillard. So they are owned now by another company, and that's, by the way, not Seiko watches. It's a different company. So they are owned. They're not independently owned anymore, but they're, sorry, it's a little bit, oh, you can tell it's been handled. So it's not completely independently owned, but it's not, you know, it's not Procter & Gamble, or it's not LVMH. So, and it's beautiful, their website of their fashions. Oh, I was really impressed. I was like, yeah, I want that. So I get this fragrance, Blind Buy, right? And I was thrilled to find it smells a lot like Chanel number 5, but the way Chanel number 5 used to smell before everything was eau de toilette and eau de parfum, it smells a lot more like when they had the eau de cologne, which is what I experienced that my mom wore when I was a kid and a teenager. But then when I went into the fragrance world, Chanel kind of stopped with that formula. They stopped with the cologne, you know, strengths. But and what I found that I really like is an Avon fragrance called Topaz. So that's kind of my new Chanel number 5. However, if I must be honest, Tamango is another one that's up there with being my new Chanel number 5. So I was so excited to get that. This is a little bit more lemony than Chanel number 5, but it's very airy and perfumey. It's old school perfumey. It's you know, it's a lot like Chanel number 5. If you'll get the gist. So I was really excited to get this one because I know I'm going to use it. Tamango by House of Leonard. Oh my gosh, lovely ladies and handsome gents. I am just getting started, and this is so exciting for me to tell you about this stuff. Okay, I'll tell you about the first Middle Eastern. This one caught my eye. Oh, and I was like, oh, it's so cute. It is such a cute bottle, but I passed it up. I passed it up. And finally, I was like, you know what? Because I really wanted to join the Middle Eastern club. I wanted to try Middle Easterns. And now's the time because, like I said, I'm into trying stuff I have never tried. Not just stuff that I already know I love from way back. My nose has expanded. My fragrance horizons have expanded. So this is my very first Middle Eastern fragrance. It is from Armaf. It is called Studio Flame. It was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. I was expecting a little thing. But it is, this bottle, it's so like heavy. It feels like metal that's been painted gold. Oh, you know, I got to show you this. I got to show you these bottles up close. Look at this. Isn't this cute? And it's very simple. It looks complicated, right? It looks like it's going to be difficult. You know, of course, it's a lot like the Yes I Am from Cacharel, but that one you actually spray the lipstick part. But isn't that cute? And it's heavy, and it's just, it feels such high quality. This is obviously plastic, but it does not seem cheap. So Armaf has a lot of popular fragrances right now. If you go to their website, it's a beautiful website. They have this really interesting opening little, you know, ad. It's very slick. It's very cool. I think it's hits their target market perfectly. They don't have this guy on that site anymore. I think maybe they've changed some of their styles, but okay, this one, okay, when I first sprayed it, I was like, that smells just like Yes I Am. I was like, why did they do that? I mean, I guess that's a duh, right? Why did they do that? You know, because I wanted to copy a popular thing. But then I realized, as I got to know this fragrance more, no, this fragrance has other different kinds of depth to it. And I really love Yes I Am. I think Yes I Am is a little bit more youthful than this. This is a little more grown up. And I sprayed it around the house. I sprayed it in the bathroom. It lasted, and also on my skin. This actually lasted pretty well, and it lasted a few days in the bathroom. I didn't spray anything else in there, and I wanted to see, you know, how long would it last in the bathroom. And it is so, I have really come to appreciate this fragrance. This is you know, it doesn't smell really like Mont Guerlain, but I think it's kind of similar in some ways. It's really, it's sensuous, but it's got a sweetness to it. And I am absolutely thrilled. And this is my first from Armaf. So I'm excited to say that I really like it. Armaf Studio Flame. Now that I think they also have a distributor called Sterling Parfums. That also has a line of cosmetics, but from what I could find, Armaf is independently owned. So, okay, now this one I am over the moon excited to get because I wanted to try one from this company that has been around for a really, really long time, and it is Bouquet de la Reine from Floris, London. This is a really old company. I have kind of a long blurb about them. I'll try to get through it fast because I know it's boring to watch somebody read. The Floris company was started in 1730 by Juan Famenias Floris and his wife Elizabeth. And it is still run by their descendants. It was started in 1730. It's still owned by the descendants. And if you go to their website, it is like, oh my gosh, it's such a fun history walk. I was only there for a couple of minutes, and I saw receipts from Winston Churchill for one of their fragrances called Special Number 127 EDT, and another fragrance called Stephanotis. And they're both still available to buy. And then also a receipt from Marilyn Monroe who loved Floris, Rose Geranium, I think it was. I can't be totally sure, but I think that's where I first heard about it, because Marilyn used it, because I knew Marilyn loved Chanel No. 5. So I got, I went to something about Marilyn's fragrances, and I was like, wow, I've never even heard of the Floris company. And I used to work in the industry in the 80s and 90s. I thought I'd heard of, most of them, but, I didn't. Imagine that. Okay. Also, there are receipts from the writer Ian Fleming, who wrote the James Bond series. Now, this fragrance is so special, Bouquet de la Reine, because, this was created by John Floris as a wedding gift for Queen Victoria when she married Prince Albert in 1840, and it was released to the public in 1860. A modern contemporary adaptation of this perfume was created and introduced to celebrate the Golden Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II in 2002. So I thought, when I heard the name of this fragrance, I didn't even know all that stuff until after I ordered this fragrance, I think, or maybe I did. But that's how this house is. If you want something that is historically significant, most likely, this is it. I can't believe we can still get this stuff. And I realize this isn't the original one that was made. It's a newer adaptation, but I'll bet it's not far from it. Otherwise, what would be the point? So, and when I saw the name, I thought, a bouquet. It has got this. It's all floral, but it's not all floral in what you'd expect. There's a little bit of probably, bergamot in there, something citrusy or lemony in the top notes, I think. I don't remember what's in it. I looked it up. I don't remember, but and the flowers, I'm not getting any rose. I'm not getting any specific flowers out of it at all. I'm just getting a really pretty, very feminine, very Victorian lace. Very Victorian lace, very demure, to use a popular word now. It's very, I wouldn't say that it smells like an older person would wear it. I wouldn't say it smells like a younger person would. I'd say this is a really great signature fragrance. Now, there's one thing about it, and I do love it, but there's one thing about it that sticks out to me. There's a little bit of something almost sort of melony too in there. Now, this one is a bit on the pricier side. To buy it, it's around $250 Canadian, but I got it a deal on it. I bought it as a tester. I much as I'd love to have the box, I don't need the box. I don't need to pay all that extra money. I got it online. The flower in this, that this reminds me of, okay, I used to work as a florist, and I had the fun opportunity to experience a lot of flowers that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. And there was one specific flower that this really reminds me of, and it was the mimosa. And the thing about the mimosa that's so weird, okay, it's this, now the mimosa I'm talking about, the mimosa with the mostis, is these little yellow balls, or little yellow fuzzy balls, and they come on stems, and the leaves are so sensitive that if you touch the leaves, they like fold in. It's like kind of an interesting plant. But they're really pretty. They're not that widely used, well, not in the flower shops I worked in, but every now and then you get a hold of them. They're really interesting. They come in like light pink and I think other colors too, but I don't know if it's in here. I think I looked in there and it wasn't, but something about it. And it is so beautiful and so unique and distinct. I've never smelled anything like it. Never, never. It doesn't remind me in the least bit of anything whatsoever. So I'm so excited to introduce you to my lovely new friend, Bouquet de Reine. I thought, the bouquet for the queen? Yeah, I'd like to see what that's like. Okay. moving on. And we still have so many left. I have so many stories to tell you. Okay, now this one I was influenced to buy by the lovely Jamie of Not Another Perfume channel, and also the very beautiful Rose Ayala of Rose Ayala Perfume Addict, because at some point or another they each pulled out this little fragrance, and it's one of the more affordable Middle Easterns. This is my second Middle Eastern, and this is the only one that I was influenced to buy by people online, because everything else I just sort of thought, no, I don't want to have any idea what it's like. I mean, well, anyways, it is Choco Musk by Al-Rehab. And I also wanted to try Middle Easterns from different companies, you know, to try something from each house. This fragrance, the first word that came out of my mouth when I sprayed this fragrance was adorable. It is friendly. It is, see, now this is the kind of thing that never existed back when I worked behind the counter in the 80s and 90s. This is a whole new world of fun for the fragrance lovers. It smells like, okay, at first my husband and I thought, oh yeah, it smells kind of like, you know, like a creamy hot chocolate. But when I smelled it afterwards, I realized what I think it really smells like to me is like a waffle cone. You know, like, but not just a dry waffle cone you buy in the grocery store. When you go somewhere and they make you some kind of special cone to go with that ice cream, and it's usually warm, and they have to do it fresh, kind of like, and then they, you know, it's like that smell of that kind of pastry. And it does not smell like fragrance at all, but it smells delicious. It smells delicious and yummy, and you know, this is the kind of thing that would be really fun to pair with other fragrances. Actually, one day I was trying these out. I paired this with this Armaf Studio Flame, and it was such a nice pairing. I don't normally do that. That's another way I'm influenced by you guys. And this is one of the more affordable Middle Easterns, which was also appealing to me because I want to try as much as I can. I don't have an unlimited budget. I do have to cool it sometimes. So, but this one is so popular, like not just with the, you know, a lot of people have reviewed this, and I think it's so special. It's really special. This is the most gourmand. I'm not trying to be anything but something that smells like something you'd want to eat. Oh, it's so lovely. It is so lovely and friendly. And you know what? Long lasting. When we sprayed it on Christmas Day, it was the first one we sprayed in the room. And we sprayed all these fragrances and more fragrances that day, because I actually got more fragrances, but this was a specific kind of fragrances I wanted to share with you guys today. I went back in hours later, after, you know, we were getting ready to have dinner, and this one, this little champ, Rose, back, it was the one that I could smell more than any of these other ones. Yeah, so this one really stayed. Okay, so now, okay, this fragrance is owned by Ajmal Al-Rehab, and it's not, by the way, connected to Ajmal Fragrances. It's different. This company was founded in 1975, and it's based in Saudi Arabia. It's an independently owned private company. So another reason I'm really glad for their success, they're independently owned. Yeah, so I highly recommend this just for the fun of it. I don't think you'll regret it. And I didn't tell you guys, but I have one extra surprise at the end. So please stick around to the end for that, because I think you'll like it. Now let's talk about this little cutie. This is called Celebrate by Pepe Jeans London. Have you ever seen anything so cute? I am a sucker for a cute bottle. I really am. But I just thought, you know, and I read up on this. This has notes in it. It has popcorn in the top notes and caviar in the middle notes. I mean, my gosh, how interesting. So I thought, you know, so I've seen this little cutie around, and I'll show you. That is how it comes off. Isn't that amazing? That deserves a dance. Here we go. We're celebrating, celebrating. Oh yeah. We're celebrating, celebrating. It's a new year. We're celebrating, celebrating. Oh yeah. But I mean, my gosh, right? Okay. And it smells really good. It smells really good and it's very unique. I don't remember all the notes, but you know, I do remember the popcorn at the top notes and caviar in the middle notes. It's a nice sprayer too. So, given the odd notes in this fragrance, I was not expecting it to be fresh and lovely, but it smells really good. There's a saltiness to it. There's a salty element, but it's like a fresh, okay, it's not, maybe there's something a little bit aquatic, but I don't want to say so because I don't want you to get the wrong idea. It's not that aquatic. It's friendly, almost sort of, and it's very effervescent. A little bit like champagne. A little bit like that, something about champagne that's kind of fresh. It's very unique. Unique and fresh, and I will definitely enjoy wearing it. I will wear all of these that I got. I am so thrilled. So, and that is going to look so cute on my makeup shelf, on my fragrance shelf. Okay. Celebrate Pepe Jeans, a London-based fashion company. Their fragrances have a different website as their fashion. And this is the one that is owned by a conglomerate. And I tried, but it was not easy for them to trick me. Okay, so when I went to delve deeper into who this one was owned by, it's owned by L. Callerton Partners, a subsidiary of LVMH. There you go. I am so thrilled anyway. I absolutely love it. You're not going to get it out of my hands now. So, and there are other kinds. They have other colors, and so I just think, oh, I'm so happy to have this in my collection. Celebrate by Pepe Jeans London. We're down to the last three. This next one, oh man, I thought about how to talk to you about this one because I have really strong feelings about this fragrance. It is Chopard Wish. Can you see that? It is as sharp as it seems. It could be a weapon. It is heavy and beautiful in my hands, and this feels like thick metal. It's plastic, but it feels like thick metal, and it looks like metal. I'm really hard pressed to have ever seen a classier bottle than this and some of these other bottles I got today for Christmas this year, the Princesse Marina de Bourbon, and this. Okay, so you get the I mean, and look at the juice. Isn't it dark and ominous? Okay. And Chopard, I remember when I was behind the counter, Chopard came out with a fragrance called Cashmere, and it was so unique. It was the first really vanilla forward fragrance that any of us had ever experienced. I mean, Shalimar was always vanilla, but it was different. It's not the same kind of vanilla. So this fragrance, I am going to be careful with it because it is powerful. I have so much to tell you about this. This fragrance conjures up like a person who you better not mess with. It reminds me of Come on now, did you get your dance on yet? You know that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not really just doing this for myself, am I? And this fragrance deserves its own dance. Chopard Wish, Chopard Wish. Okay, I'm trying to keep my fragrance, my perfume, my music level lower overall, because I know sometimes it's hard. The bass bumps in it and it's louder than I realize in the phone, and I understand it's annoying for some people. I get it. But for now, let's dance! Okay, I gotta cool it. This videos are getting too long. Okay, this is like, okay, it's like the evil queen in Snow White. This is like, this is like a person that you really do not want to get on their bad side. This is a person who, this is the person who turns out to be the person who done it in a like, you know, a murder mystery. This is, you know, in that Agatha Christie or that, you know, fiction. But this is so, it's dark and rich and floral. I would say that people think that there's probably stuff in here like iris. Oh, so this fragrance is very big. It's very bold. It's very long lasting. It's like a dark nighttime, definitely, you know, woman at the opera. This is what the woman at the opera is wearing. She is not only self-confident, but she has no time to mess with people who are just trying to waste her time. This fragrance really speaks to me. And another thing it reminds me of, though, okay, Shalimar, because I did work for Guerlain, like I said, in as a rotator rep. I went around to different stores, and I wore Shalimar a lot. Even though when I was in my early 20s, which is when I worked for them, Shalimar was an old lady's fragrance. It was still our best seller. And then Shalimar was after that, was the other one we were promoting a lot of. So I was wearing a lot of that too. But I got to know Shalimar, and it wouldn't have been a fragrance I would have chose to wear in my, you know, in my 20s. But I had the whole line. I had lots of it. I wore it to work, and I wore it otherwise. You know, I wore it out clubbing or whatever I did. And I got to know the dry down, and it was a really nice, warm, rich, expensive vanilla. And that's what this has too. It reminds me a lot of that. And in fact, the quality of this smells so high quality and so complex that it reminds me of another Chopard fragrance, Cashmere. That's the only one I really ever remember knowing about. I might have tried others, but that one I knew really well because we sold it. Chopard Cashmere. And they have this deep, rich, like they don't smell like chocolate, but you know, dark chocolate is very rich, and these have that rich, you know, Merlot wine is very rich. It's like those fragrances. Now, as far as the fragrance, there was a fragrance that I thought it smelled a little bit like, and that was Elizabeth Taylor's White Diamonds Night, which is a very heady, that one's more incense leaning though. This is not really incense. I don't think I'd say this is incense leaning, but it's just, oh my gosh. I'm kind of afraid to wear it because it is so, it's indefinable. I can't even define, but man, I'm glad I got it. Chopard Wish. Another thing that comes to mind is Ursula's Octopus Poison, because it's got that dark color, but it definitely has that evil villain vibe, but still so dark and mysterious and sexy. Yeah, and also Chopard is independently owned, It was started by Ulysses Chopard in 1963 and was acquired by the Schoffel family of Germany. Now it's also connected to Brands Beyond Beauty and Philippe Plein Parfums. So there might be a little bit of connection there, but it's not giant conglomerate, you know. So I'm impressed that Chopard is still independently owned, you know. So Chopard Wish, another beauty. Mysterious. So there's still more to share here, lots more. I hope you're having a good time. Please, if you are, please, I appreciate if you would give this video a like and subscribe if this is interesting to you. You know, it helps all of us YouTubers out and we do appreciate it. But at the same time, I never want you to feel obligated. So I just appreciate that you're here. This one, Sirene by Vicky Tiel. You gotta get a load of this. Look at how pretty it is. It's all glass and it's all sirens, you know. Women like, you know, like the Starbucks siren calling us to something. I guess whatever we want. Vicky Tiel Sirene. Now this is plastic, but I think it's so pretty. It reminds me of Venus of the Waves, the famous painting Venus of the Waves. And this is so pretty. And look at the juices, like a pinky rhubarby looking color. So this one I think is really also very cool and exciting because Vicky Tiel is an independent designer. She first launched this fragrance, her first fragrance. See, that's another thing I wanted to get, like mostly the first one, if I could, of these unique designers. This was introduced in 1989. Now, Vicky Tiel is an American designer who gained fame in France. She was discovered by couturier Louis Ferraud, and then she designed for celebrities like Elizabeth Taylor and a lot more, but I'm trying to keep this short. You know, I'll go into more detail about these people, about these houses eventually, but it's already an hour-long video, I think. So this fragrance, she writes books, she does a lot of interesting things, but Vicky Tiel does oversee the company from what I could glean. Okay, now this one, it's very deep and sensual, very mysterious, very fruity, but like dried fruit. And it reminds me quite a lot of one I own called Dalissime by Salvador Dali. Very similar vibe. This one's a little more cinnamon. There's something in it, a little bit cinnamony, but it's very sexy. It's like a plum, a fruit, dark fruit and plums kind of thing, you know? Oh, so, and it's just gorgeous. And I'm thrilled to support an independent house like that has such interesting history that's tangible, you know? So yeah, Vicky Tiel Sirene. Love it. Okay, and now we are getting to the last fragrance. I mean, I do have a surprise after this, but it's connected to this one. And I have to say, okay, I love all these fragrances and I'm definitely going to wear them. But one of them stood out as the kind of fragrance that I love to wear, that I immediately would buy if I smelled it and tried it. All of these I just wanted to, or probably would buy. It would depend on my budget. But it's still very, very affordable fragrance. But out of all of these, this is the one that's most my personality and most the kind of thing that I just want to smell like this. I don't care for what occasion. It just is so good. And it is the third Middle Eastern fragrance. It is Mahasin Crystal from Lattafa. So I do want you to see this bottle. Look at this bottle. It is so thick and substantial. This reminds me of, like, I don't know, I feel like this should be a Dior bottle or something like that. It's so It's so thick and substantial. And the cap, by the way, is metal. Now the inside is plastic, but the cap is metal, and you do not feel, sometimes I scratched it. No. Oh, well, you can see yourself in there. See, you're on camera. But it feels luxurious and heavy. The only thing that doesn't quite fit is, to me, okay, I love this writing. I love this, and I love that font there. But this reminds me of, like, I don't know, circus. Come to the circus kind of font. Like you see this, come to the child's jamboree. That's the only thing that I feel it doesn't quite fit. But I just had to say, something that I didn't completely love, but I mean, who cares? It's the way they want it. Maybe it has a significance, in the language. I have no idea what Mahasin crystal means. Although I think I discovered that the word crystal has significance in Middle Eastern fragrance, but what that is, I don't know. So this fragrance, I'm going to spray it around. This is my favorite one. It's just a happy, fresh, light floral with all of the flowers in it. All of them. All of the flowers and all of the freshness. This is an uplifting fragrance you can wear anytime, any day, any age, anybody. It's feminine leaning. It's feminine leaning. Also, too, all these Middle Eastern fragrances I bought were not shared, or unisex. They were all for women. Oh no, that's not true. Choco Musk is, I think, unisex. But because I don't know, I don't usually like the more masculine fragrances on myself. I usually tend to like the more feminine. So this one, Mahasin Crystal, is my favorite. And what I think is interesting about this fragrance is Lattafa fragrances are independently owned, founded by Sheikh Shahid Ahmad and Soaib Iqbal in 1980. And they are independently owned. And I'm really glad to see Lattafa is having so much success, independently owned. I really love that. And these being my first 3 Middle Eastern fragrances, I am really, really pleased that I like them so much. So much so that I look forward to, trying other houses. I mean, these houses too, but now I'm on a little bit of a mission to try a lot of different houses. How can I get in and try, what they have to offer without necessarily having to spend Sephora prices, but still getting a high quality, respect-worthy, interesting product. Now I come to this special surprise. Look at this Pepe jeans box. Isn't that pretty? I mean, the boxes really do sell this stuff a lot. This is not the surprise, but I'm just moving boxes around because Mahasin Crystal here came in this box. And it was where I went to buy it. It said that there was a deodorant included, and I was like, wow, because I love fragrance deodorants. I'm really into them. I can't always get them without, a lot of times you got to take the antiperspirant, which isn't necessarily that good for you, but on a day-to-day basis, I try to use the kind that doesn't have, just the deodorant, not the antiperspirant. However, I didn't care in this case. I wanted it, whatever it was. And so I opened it up, and there was indeed something inside. It was not a deodorant. It was a perfume spray. It was a fragrance spray. It was Lattafa Raghba. Ha ha ha, Lattafa Raghba. And I know this is a popular one. But I think that this is actually a shared fragrance. And so even though I liked the bottles, and I thought I heard it smelled like Baccarat Rouge 540. And I thought, I don't really want to, review more Baccarat Rouge 540 similar fragrances. I know someone, I asked a fragrance reviewer, is it? And she said, no, it's not. So I was so excited to get this. So it's in this little aerosol looking, I don't know if it's aerosol. It comes out pretty strong. But this one, this is really unique. This reminds me of maybe like Turkish Delight. The candy that tastes, it's so good. It's like fruit and nuts in this little cube gelatinous cube thing. It doesn't sound that good, but it's really good. Like powdered sugar on top. But it's not really sweet. I think there's probably some indolic, you know, or animalic notes in there. Not real floral. But definitely solid, you know, gender neutral. A little bit of peppery. Kind of dried flowers too. Yeah, I really like it. I don't like it as much as any of the ones I bought though. But it is a really nice fragrance, and it's one that I got in my little haul. So that's it, my lovely ladies and handsome gents. I really appreciate you coming and staying. If you stayed through this whole video, I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to know, do you have any unusual house fragrances like this in your collection? Now I know a lot of niche houses that are really expensive, and those are wonderful, and I want to know about those too. But I especially want to know if you found something unusual like all of these that for the most part were pretty affordable. You know, I'm interested in knowing about that. So thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you next time. And I hope you have an amazing year full of a lot of things that you were really hoping would happen your entire life. Wouldn't that be great? Happy New Year!